On a misty morning outside Buckingham Palace, a simple moment became a battle of respect, tradition, and authority. It was a morning like any other. The fog wrapped itself around Buckingham Palace, creating a veil of mystery that added to the palace's already majestic aura. Tourists gathered near the iconic gates, some lost in admiration of the architecture, others too eager to snap photos of British history. Amid them stood Daniel Carter, a royal guard, unwavering, his expression unreadable. At 28, Daniel was the epitome of military discipline. Tall and commanding, his uniform was pressed to perfection, gleaming under the soft morning light. His bare skin gleamed too, adding to his formidable presence. He had seen it all, the silly questions, the attempts to provoke a smile, and the tourists testing his patience. It was all part of the job. But today was different. A group of tourists stood before him, loud, brash, and disrespectful. Cameras slung around their necks, they treated the scene like a game. At the front of the group stood a man in his early 30s, coffee cup in hand and smugness on his face, as if he owned the place. "Hey mate, why so serious?" The man called out, stopping directly in front of Daniel. His voice cut through the morning air, deliberately seeking attention. As per protocol, Daniel didn't react. He stood motionless, as if the man didn't exist. "Whoa, guys, look at him. He doesn't even blink. Maybe he's a robot." The man laughed, nudging his friends. The crowd chuckled, some of them pulling out their phones to record the entertainment. "Come on, crack a smile. You're on duty, aren't you?" Another voice shouted. Still, Daniel did not move. But his patience was wearing thin, his resolve slowly tightening like a coiled spring. This was part of the job, enduring taunts, insults, and ignorance. But this man was different. He was relentless. With a slow, dramatic motion, the tourist took a sip from his coffee, then, without warning, spat it in Daniel's direction. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd, the once laughing tourists now eerily silent. The man and his group erupted in laughter, convinced they had won. Yet Daniel stood unflinching, his face as impassive as before. But there was a subtle shift in his posture, a change that did not go unnoticed. The tourist, emboldened, crossed an invisible line. He stepped closer to Daniel, his hand reaching for the guard's bare skin, an unspoken boundary that had always been respected. That was the moment Daniel had been waiting for. With the speed and precision of a soldier, Daniel raised his rifle to intercept the man's hand, his voice booming across the crowd. "Step back, sir." The atmosphere changed in an instant. The once defiant tourist flinched, his bravado crumbling. His friends, who had been egging him on, fell silent. But Daniel wasn't finished. "This man represents the honor and traditions of this country," a voice suddenly rang out from the crowd. It was an elderly man, a veteran, his steps slow, but his presence commanding. His military jacket and the medals on his chest spoke of a life lived in service. The tourist scoffed, attempting to brush the veteran off. "Relax, old man. You're probably one of them too. Lighten up." But the veteran was unshaken. He adjusted his medals, turned to the crowd, and with authority he declared, "What kind of circus is this? Do you even understand who these men are? They're not here for your amusement." The tourist opened his mouth to argue, but found no words. Before he could retort, Daniel stepped forward again, positioning himself between the veteran and the tourist. "You've crossed the line," Daniel said, his voice calm but firm. "Return to your area immediately." The crowd erupted into applause, the support of the onlookers overwhelming the tourist. The officer who had arrived quietly gestured for the tourist to leave. "You violated public decorum." "I'm going to have to ask you to leave," the officer stated, his voice cool and authoritative. The tourist left, his confidence shattered, his friends now awkwardly shifting in place, their earlier support turned to shame. And Daniel? He returned to his post, unmoved, unshaken, a perfect symbol of honor and resilience.